What's up, everybody? It's Demetrius and Anika here with Clair Em Motivators. And we are back with our weekly dose of motivation, encouragement, and inspiration. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. We do these videos every week just to help motivate, encourage, and inspire people. We know that there's a lot going on in the world right now. And so we are life coaches, motivational speakers. Anika is a health coach, and we came together to just help people navigate these times. And this week, we are going to do a highly requested topic, and that is to talk about anxiety and depression, especially in the wake of COVID-19. So, we just wanted to jump right into this topic, and we'll talk about what's motivating us at the end. We know that a lot of people have had to quarantine, a lot of people are working from home. COVID-19 is actually hitting close to home for you guys and for us as well. And so we just wanted to make sure that we are all being cognizant of still taking care of ourselves and recognizing when we need to kind of do something about how we're feeling. So Anika is a physician, for those of you who don't know that, and she came to talk to us today so that we can understand anxiety and depression, exactly what that is. Hello, Anika.
Hello, how are you all doing?
So I just wanted to jump right into the topic. Can you tell us what the signs of anxiety are so that people can understand when they're feeling something, whether that is actually considered anxiety?
Absolutely. So one thing to make note of is what I'm about to tell you, we all feel at some point in time. And so feeling anxious is just that, it's a feeling, and different scenarios make you feel anxious. Different situations make you feel anxious, and sometimes you can feel anxious without even quite having a something that brings it about. Think of anxiety like a flight or fight response, meaning that if right now someone ran in with you and scared you, the response that your body would mount so that you can run away is what we feel in anxiety. So it's a sense of I feel worried, a sense that I feel anxious or maybe just overwhelmed. And like I say, sometimes it's not something that's actually overwhelming you. I just feel like that. I feel very overwhelmed. Those can cause physical symptoms where I feel like my heart is racing. It's about to get ready to jump out of my chest. I can hyperventilate, which means I breathe too fast, almost like I'm panting. When I do that, then that makes me dizzy and kind of feel like I may going to get ready to pass out. Um, I can feel, like I say, a sense of doom, as if, oh my goodness, something bad is about to get ready to happen. Now, this can happen in situations where, like I say, if right now somebody came to scare you, you would feel like that, or you can feel like this just because of an imbalance. Nothing is happening. Nothing is making me feel. I'm not feeling like this because of situation. I am just sitting here, literally sitting here watching TV, and I feel like this.
So you're saying that anxious, that feeling that you get, just for example, for me, I'm scared of heights. And I'm also scared of like being in the middle of the ocean. And so
Mhm.
sometimes when that happens, you get this feeling like I feel like I'm going to drown or like I'm going to fall. And it's like you described that, like you feel scared almost, like your heart is pounding. That's just feeling anxious. But then anxiety is you're feeling that, like people who are scared of heights or whatever it is that makes you feel anxious, you feel that and nothing is happening, like you're just sitting at home and you have this feeling like something's going on. Is
Absolutely.
accurate?
Yes, and you just made me think of something. It's anxiety. So the clinical diagnosis of anxiety is those feelings are happening and it's impairing you. So it's happening and I can't get up and go to work because I feel like this. It's happening and I can't be a mom because I feel like this. It's happening and it's hard to be a husband because I feel like this. So those symptoms actually cause an impairment to where I cannot do my day to day because I feel exactly what you just said.
Okay, so some level of feeling anxious is normal. Like everybody feels anxious
Absolutely.
about something. But then once it
Absolutely.
gets to the point where it is impairing you from being able to go through your daily activities, then that is when you're saying, okay, that is anxiety.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. What about depression? What are the signs of depression?
So with depression, Same thing. It is okay to be sad. And there are different situations that makes us sad. So one thing I can't stress enough is these feelings are not abnormal. It is okay not to be okay. So I don't feel good today. I'm having a bad day. With depression, it's more so I feel sad. I feel blue. I feel hopeless. It's just nothing. Nothing's going right. I can't do anything right. Um, and in addition, feeling depressed not only just affects my mood, like anxiety, it can affect just my physical being. And so I can feel, some of us will, appetite will increase where I just kind of feel like I'm hungry all the time, or maybe I even satisfy with food because I feel so sad. I'm trying to find something to help me feel better. So then my appetite may increase. Some of us appetite actually decrease where I don't feel like it. I don't have an appetite. I don't feel like eating, and I'm not going to eat. So some of us in that situation gain weight when we stress eat, or or some of us lose weight. It affects sleep. So either I am sleeping too much or I am not sleeping enough. I have frequent nighttime wakings. I cannot go to sleep. Or like I say, some of us, you just find yourself, if you could stay in the bed all day, if you could do that, then you would do that. It affects concentration. So I cannot concentrate. I can't sit down to watch my favorite TV show because my mind wanders off. I can't sit and read my favorite book because my mind is wandering off. I can't get through my task at work because my mind keeps wandering off. It can make you feel guilty. Either like I have a sense of I'm letting my family down, I'm letting myself down. So I carry around this guilt. You can actually have suicide, what we call ideation, which means suicide ideas. Not that I'm going to go commit suicide, or not that I'm going to follow through with the act, but I just have the thought of maybe life would be better if I wasn't here. Um, and so all of those symptoms are constellation, and I feel these to the point of impairment because, especially going through COVID, there are times where, something is making us feel down, but I'm able to get up and push on, and I go to work and I'm come home. But these are impairing me, and I cannot get up to do what I need to because I feel these different symptoms.
So I just thought of something, and I'm wondering if this is a symptom. I've interacted with people during all this that I know how they normally are, and it seems like they're kind of on edge. So where something small may make them blow up or have a reaction that you're like, "Hey, like what's wrong with you?" or whatever the stimulus, whatever the thing was that kind of agitated them when normally they would have brushed it off, or normally they would have been able to just kind of manage it, the response seems to be extreme. Is that a sign of depression or just
Yes.
instability or?
No, that's a very good point. So it's two extremes to that. One of them is agitation, where, like you said, just the smallest thing in a person who is normally mild-mannered now has just went postal, for lack of a better word, over something that is very, very small. So yes, that is absolutely a symptom. The other flip side of that is some people have what we call psychomotor retardation. Now, I got to get fancy, but I'll explain it. It just means I am moving slow. I describe it as feeling like I'm in quicksand. That no matter how many steps I take forward, I feel like I'm stuck. The world is kind of zooming past me, but I feel like I'm moving like a snail. So you'll have those two extremes, or you can feel like, both of those depending on which day it is. But so yes, agitation is definitely a symptom of depression.
I think something that you've mentioned both when talking about anxiety and when talking about depression is the idea that it's okay not to be okay, that it is absolutely normal to experience the full range of human emotions, right? So, especially right now during COVID times, you're going to see things that make you cry. You're going to see things that make you angry. You're going to see things that make you sad. And those things are okay. That's normal, right? You're human. God gave us this full range of emotions to experience them. But when you get to the point where it's impairing your ability to do something, that's when it's concerning. But I really do just really hope people take that home with them, that idea that that whole good vibes only, positive vibes only, we always happy over here, like that's actually not good. If you're always happy and suppressing your other emotions, I feel like it leads to those people that blow up at the slightest thing, or, you're not really being honest with yourself about how you feel. Now, granted, you can't just walk around crying all the time, but just honoring how you feel and acknowledging and having that day to be like, you know what, today I'm gonna let it out. Cry in the shower, it's all right. Or whatever it is. Like I said, just for people to really understand that, because I feel like there's a term for it now that we use in the coaching world. It's toxic positivity, where people are pushing this narrative that like you have to be happy all the time and everything is hunky dory all the time, when it's like, no, that's actually not healthy. It's okay for you to feel all of these things. What you're talking about, Dr. Ramos, is yes, that's true. It's okay to feel all these things. It's okay not to be okay. But if you're not okay all the time, or it's been, I think the number you gave was 6 weeks, and you're
6 weeks.
still not able to get out of what it is that you're feeling, then that's when you need to do something. And so then my question to you is, if you listen to this and you say, well, I've had trouble sleeping, I've had trouble eating, I do feel a sense of impending doom, I felt like this since March, since everything started. What is that person supposed to do once they recognize, like, hey, I think I'm experiencing some of this?
Yeah, good question. And one thing I want to make note of is anxiety and depression do not have to be mutually exclusive.
Oh, so you
So
can
if
have
you pay
both.
attention, yes, if you pay attention, some of these symptoms actually kind of overlap. So they oftentimes, today I feel anxious, yesterday I felt sad. So I don't, you don't have to, they don't have to be mutually exclusive of each other. A person can be both anxious or have anxiety and be depressed. So you can have them both. If you recognize, so insight is one of the hardest things to come by. It's easier for us to recognize it in others. It's not as easy to recognize it in ourselves.
Or I
So
think people talk themselves out of it. Like,
oh yeah.
oh, I'll be fine. I'm just in a rut right now. I'm going to get over it. And then they don't realize that it's been 4 months. It's been 5 months, that you've been snapping on your family members, or missing a lot of work, or not able to focus in school. And it's been a while, and you just keep trying to talk yourself out of it.
Yeah, and one thing too, being a woman, and not to downplay that, women feel it more than a man. We are all in this together. But being a woman, you juggle your emotions, the emotions of your kids, your husband, your coworkers. We are very, we are very just we take care of everybody. And so
Right.
sometimes we have that guilt that, oh, I should be able to do this. My mom did it, my aunts do it.
Right.
I should be
Or
able to take care of it.
or you don't have a choice, right? When you have all those people
Yeah,
relying on you to get to work, get to school, to be there, all the messaging for women is be his peace. You're like, well, whew, I don't have no more peace to give.
yeah,
Like, how,
yeah.
what's left? So yeah, no, that's a good point, that there is this pressure that, you kind of have to suppress what you're feeling so that you can carry the load. And like you said, for men too, they carry a load as well. And
Absolutely,
so in terms of
absolutely.
that insight, it's not always easy, even if you recognize it, which takes a while. But even when you finally get there, where you're like, I think something's going on, it's not easy to just put that down and be like, I need help.
Right. So now the first part of that was insight. I have to at least be able to recognize that I am feeling this and it is impairing me. So when I've gotten that insight, applaud yourself, because that's one of the hardest, that's the first step, but it's the hardest step to make. Once I have realized and have been honest with myself to say, you know what? Yes, it's okay not to be okay, and I'm not okay, but I have not been okay for weeks, months to years. That next step is also hard, but to bring it up, bring it up to your doctor, your family doctor, your primary care doctor, just to make an appointment to say, hey, you know what, I'm not okay, and this is what I'm experiencing. Because from there, the same way where I've kind of given you the broad definition, you guys can kind of sit and say, you know what, yes, hey, this is a mild case, this is a moderate case, or hey, you know what, this is actually a severe case. One thing with COVID, what it has done is it has made our mental health professionals more accessible, more than I've ever seen my whole time I've been practicing, because we are all in a situation that is new to us. It's a situation that causes us to feel anxious. It causes us to feel sad. So they are there. A lot of this can be done remotely through telehealth, where I just, as you and I are talking in our homes right now, this can be done in the privacy of my own home. Counseling is not where I go lay on the couch and stick my feet up and go and dive into my deepest, darkest secrets. That's not quite what it's about. It's more so learning to cope because I feel the way I feel, but how do I cope? How do I put these feelings to where I can put one foot in front of the other and start to do my daily activities? And
Right.
so bringing it up, once you recognize it in yourself, then bring it up so that you may get the help that you need so that you may cope with the feelings that you feel, um, so that you have a voice, you get your voice back.
Right. We're coaching people virtually right now for people that we recognize, like, hey, this is more than just you need some motivation in your life. This is more than just you need a life coach. You actually need, some clinical help. We'll refer people to physicians, we refer people to therapists. Because, like you said, it is having that insight, reaching out, and then knowing when you need more, than just a pep talk. You really need to
Yes.
go and meet with somebody. And then another thing, because we know this from personal experience, we know people who will drink it away, who will try to smoke it away, who will use, you know, whatever type of narcotics or alcohol to try to just drown it out for a little bit. And then that leads to a whole different topic that we can dive into, at a different point. But if you find yourself having to have a drink to deal with anxiety, or feeling anxious, I should say, or you find yourself having to have a drink as that pick me up for depression, or if you find yourself, reaching for something to try to make you feel better, I would say it's probably time for you to go and talk to somebody.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you have to think that you get yourself into a vicious cycle. I eat and to make me feel better, then I'm gaining weight, then that makes me even more depressed. That makes me even more anxious because now I've gained weight. Or I'm drinking and I feel guilty about it. And so then I beat myself up about that. So then you kind of get into this cycle where it's almost like a self-pity where I cannot, nothing's right. I suck. The world sucks. Everything around me sucks. And so just to get some help to be able to break that cycle because you don't suck. The world has its sucky
The
qualities,
world sucks
but
sometimes,
I
but you can
was
still
gonna
be
say the world
happy
don't
in the
suck,
midst
but
of the suck.
yes, I was gonna say the world don't suck, but I don't want to lie. It is kind of sucky, but I can exist in this suckiness and
Right.
be able to be okay.
That's a clinical term, by the way, sucky.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I look it up.
Well, cool. That's some great information. I think just knowing, firsthand, and we'll cover this topic a lot because, like I said, it's been highly requested for us, just to address it, that's what people are dealing with. That's why we all started doing this in the first place. But I think that that's some great information just so people can recognize, like, okay, this sounds like something that I'm dealing with. I'm eating too much, or I'm not eating enough. I'm sleeping, a lot, or I'm not sleeping enough. I can't get up and go to work, or I just feel sad or gloomy. So it is good to have a physician to be able to explain, like, hey, this is when it's okay, and this is when it's not okay. And all of this talk about anxiety and depression and feelings makes me want to ask you, sis, how have you been managing? I mean, doctors need doctors, life coaches need coaching. We all
Oh,
need somebody to
absolutely.
say, hey, are you okay? How are you doing? So, how are you?
I am doing okay. Great point. So one thing that I do is I have to recognize too, you guys, that I don't feel good, and I tell my sister all the time that one of the ways I catch myself is my house is a mess. It is just an absolute mess. And so that's when I looking around and I'm thinking, you know what? Let me think back. Ugh, it's been a tough week. So that's why we got shoes in the living room and we got, stuff everywhere. But I recognize that's one of my ways that I recognize, you know what? Let me step back. Let me kind of dive into how are you doing this week? How was this week for you? And then taking some time, what your me time is for everybody is different. But my sister laughs and pokes fun at me all the time because it's not that I like to clean, but I love my house to be clean and smell
Right.
good.
And it is
So
it is a
I'll tell
stress
everybody.
reliever though. The process of doing it,
Absolutely.
like, it's a stress
Yes.
reliever.
Yes, yes, yes.
Especially
Yep.
with
And then
us,
the
I'm the same
outcome.
way because you think all day at work, right? You're everything for everybody
Hmm.
else all the time. Same for me. And so the process of just sweeping or cleaning, I find my mind not thinking. Like, I'm not, it's something mindless that I don't
Yeah.
have to, like, solve problems, or I could just be doing this, repetitive motion that makes me feel better. So I laugh at you, but I do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's the pot calling the kettle black. We can
Right.
laugh at each other, but it is what we do. The other thing I do is I garden, because I think it's just I'm a natural. I just naturally I want to take care of somebody, and so and I think that's just a natural part of my personality. But with the plants, they don't talk back, and so I can go out there and water them and talk to them,
Now this I don't do.
and
I'm about to
you
go
should
sing to
try
the
it.
plants.
You should try it, because you sing to them and then they grow to be beautiful and you can go talk to them. But so I garden, because that also is a stress reliever for me. So I recognize when I'm stressed, and then I try to go do those things that help me to relieve the stress. And I also talk about it, because it is okay for me not to be okay. I'm not Superwoman, and I had a rough day
You
today. I'm
are
having rough
Superwoman.
days.
You
I'm
are
not
Superwoman,
Superwoman.
and you had a rough day. Both of those things are true, right? I'm Superwoman.
Absolutely.
I've had a hard day today.
Maybe so, but Superwoman has to take off her cape
Yes.
and say, you know what, I gotta lay this cape down today. I don't feel good, and I want to tell you about it. And
Yes.
so you are one of my sources of where I go to and draw that strength from. So that's what I do. That's what I
Good.
do. How about you, sis? I know it's tough in your world too. How are you doing, and what do you do?
Same. So, especially for you, I know being a health professional, you're experiencing this pandemic in the way that we all are. And then on top of the fact that you actually work in healthcare, my heart goes out to you. I tell you that all the time, because you're dealing with a lot, trying to make things better for everybody else. So kudos to you. Have your ginger ale with ice, go sing to your flowers, clean up, make yourself happy. Call me, whatever it is you need to do. Same for me. I mean, I actually experienced depression before and I didn't recognize it. I was 18. It was when Tony was murdered. So we had our uncle who we were very close to was murdered when I was a freshman in college, and so you had to have been in medical school.
Hmm.
And it was hard. And I was only 18 years old. I had never experienced anything like that, and I don't wish that on my worst enemy. But it was hard. And I found at that time that I slept all the time. I lost so much weight. I slept all the time. I'm normally not a crier, and I was crying in front of people, which is something that I did not do. And so I was on campus, and they actually had somebody like you come in and just do this presentation. And the person started talking about depression, and they said the same things that you said. And I was like, oh man, I think I'm depressed. And I didn't like go talk to anyone. I just started being intentional about what I was thinking about. And what I found was that when I woke up in the morning, I was thinking about things that made me sad. And when I would go to bed at night, I was thinking about things that made me sad. And so what helped me was leaning into my faith. I'm Christian. And so I just started leaning into my faith, praying and journaling more. And I was very intentional about what I thought about when I woke up in the morning. So as soon as I opened my eyes, I would force myself to think about something that made me happy. And that's how I got through that. Um, so I said all that to say that now when the pandemic and stuff happened, my perfectly planned life where my kids were going to soccer and dance and doing recitals and going to school, and I was going to work and I was in trial all the time and I was busy, all of that kind of changed. And I called you because I wasn't sleeping. Remember, I was just like, hey,
Hmm.
I keep
Yep.
waking up in the middle of the night. Is there anything that I can do? And so because I had experienced it before, I knew instantly, like, hey, I don't think that this is okay. Like I'm supposed to be able to sleep at least 6 hours. I was only sleeping
Hmm.
like 2 hours. And so again, I experienced this before. I recognized it and I was like, no, I need to do something. So I dug deep. I figured out what makes me happy and I started doing it. So for me, it was helping people. I started coaching more people. I started a business coaching professionally. Um, and I just relaxed. I stopped trying to plan because that was the biggest one. It was like, oh no, my
Hmm.
plans. I got a list right here. I'm a list girl.
Yeah.
So my list, my perfectly crafted list, and my the things that I found comfort in that were gone. I just had to redesign and say, okay, I can't plan. When people ask me now, what y'all doing for Halloween? I don't know, and I'm good with
We'll
that.
see when
Like
we get there.
and so that's what it was for me. And then I think too, mine was guilt because I go to work outside of the home, and Chris and the kids are at home, and so I felt guilty for leaving them. Um, those were the big ones, that it was just like I couldn't sleep because I just felt like I wanted to fix it, right? Like you watch the news and you see racial tensions, you see people dying. And I'm just naturally a person that like wants to help other people. And I felt helpless. I felt like I couldn't, you know, I can't do nothing. I can't take this away from you. Or seeing,
Mhm.
people dealing with stress that I love, I want to just take it, and me hold it, but I couldn't do that. And so I just had to collect myself and say, hey, look, first of all, the world is in hands that are greater than yours. That's God. So whatever it is that you're trying to plan and do
Mhm.
for people, He has them covered. So you need to relax. Um, and then it was, like you said, just doing small things that make me happy. I love crab legs. I done made so many crab balls the past couple months. So it's just that, like, little stuff. I buy new lipstick because lipstick make me happy. Just the smallest things that to say,
Yeah.
hey, you know what? It is what it is. We're here. One way that I heard anxiety described before was that it's typically you're living in the past or in the future. Like you're thinking about something that's no longer your life or your situation, or you anticipating something happening that hasn't happened, and then you just kind of start spinning out of
Mhm.
control. And so for me, it
You
was I'm
fixate on it.
thinking about the future, or I'm thinking about the way things were, but I'm not really dealing with reality, which is it's a pandemic. It's a lot going on. Life looks different. What can we do with this? Don't worry about
Yeah.
tomorrow. Don't worry about yesterday. Figure out what you can do today. And once
Yeah.
I kind of committed that, where it was like, I'm just going to figure out what I can do today, I've been sailing through life, skipping, happy, singing.
Yeah. Yeah, I tell my patients that all the time. Actually, I always tell them, you can't change what happened yesterday. So your energy is not, waste your energy trying. And you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. All you have is today. So make a plan for today. And you can't stress over what you cannot see. You can't foresee and then stress over it. Or then you can't go back and then stress over that because it's energy wasted. So absolutely, you have to. We live in a moment. And I know I'm like you. I'm a planner too, but I have to live for today. And if
Right,
COVID has done nothing, I live for today. I can tell
right,
you what's happening at this moment. I'm sitting here talking to you, but I can't tell you what's going to happen tomorrow. I'll tell you when I get there tomorrow.
right, right. And you just kind of have to be okay with that. The plans out the window. So
Absolutely.
after sharing that, now I would like to know what is motivating you. We talked about anxiety and depression. We talked about how you've managed, how I've managed. What's motivating you this week?
So good question. This is always a topic that with anxiety and depression, because it's one of those that's near and dear to my heart because just like you said, we go through it and people look and say, oh, on the outside looking in, you're a physician and you have this and that and the other, but I'm looking at them like that does not matter. I am not immune to anything that's going on. And so one thing that motivates me are all of those whom have the courage to speak up, all of those, because I tell my patients when they come in, I commend them. I mean, we are high fiving and fist pumping because we see it as weak to feel anxious. We see it as weak to feel depressed. But I actually think it takes the most courage at your most vulnerable state to say, I do not feel good, and to let somebody else into that space with you. So what motivates me to get up and come to you today is just that. So for everybody out there that have said, oh, I'm sorry. Everybody out there that has
That was a high
said,
five from your
I
phone.
know, man, my God, I must have said that with some passion because my phone
Yes.
flipped over.
She meant when
But
this when she said this motivating her, she meant it.
for everybody who has spoken up and for everybody that will go now speak up, you all are my motivation this week.
Same. I will piggyback on that for people that can, even for us to sit here and have this conversation. Again, like we are not the type of people that just, put all your business out there.
Yeah.
We're like, hey, let's be the example, right? We're constantly telling people, talk about what's going on with you. Tell somebody. Life isn't perfect. Be honest. Like we're always preaching those things. And so we're like, you know what? We're going to be the first ones to do
You
it.
lead
Well,
by
not
example.
first, but we're going to join all of the people who are doing it. And so
Absolutely.
I will piggyback off of that. The people who have came forward, and Dak Prescott did an interview a couple weeks ago now where he
Hmm.
came forth and he said that he was depressed, and somebody who I won't even say his name was like, he's not a leader and he's weak. That same thing that you just said, that was a couple weeks ago, but I'm using that as my motivation this week. Be like that.
Absolutely.
And be
Yep.
honest with yourself and be honest with each other and just say, hey, look, we're all experiencing it. It's normal to be sad sometimes. And then like Dr. Ramos said, if it's been a while and you still not okay, go talk to somebody. Your physician should give you a high five for having the courage to come into their office and tell them that you're struggling. So with that, we hope that you all have a great week. We hope that you sit with yourself after watching this video, take an inventory of what's going on with you, and if you're not okay, reach out to somebody and let them know that you're not okay. And if you are okay, reach out to somebody and make sure they're doing okay. Check on your strong
Absolutely.
friends, check on yourselves, check on each other, and we will all get through this pandemic together.
Absolutely.
All right, y'all have a
Well
great
said.
week. Bye.
Bye.